Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil karim. Welcome to this episode of Anhar. Anhar, as you would have seen, presents you important issues of societal relevance, also issues that need solutions as we move forward, as we go ahead with the challenges of our life. We tend to resolve so many issues. We tend to try to resolve so many issues ourselves. In the process, we happen to deepen the crisis already that is happening in the hope of resolving it. Losing patience is one of those reasons. So we are going to discuss power of silence and patience. What is the efficacy of interplay between silence and patience? As we dive into this topic, Dr. Ibrahim Zakaria Musa is here with us. Thank you very much for coming over.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me again on this wonderful program.
Very important topic, since we have so many issues cropping up in our life, in the environment of in the work environment, in the home environment, and in the society at large. We have so many issues which call for patience and silence. What has this to do with solving problems of our life?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. No doubt the topic that we are going to discuss today in this program is very suitable and relevant, particularly in this hustle of life that we are living with, full of hustles and bustles, where we need to grab strongly on the power of patience and silence, which are God-gifted blessings to humanity. And it is time-tested through our experience, a power that each and every one of us require in our daily life to pass through smoothly, calmly, quietly, and peacefully. Now, if we weigh the power of patience and silence within one word, if I can put it like this way, that the power of your tongue, the power of your hand has an edge of a sword of double edge. Either way, it may be either have a positive result or negative result, a repercussion or influence or impact, or ending up with a very good result. Now, a word that comes out of your mouth can make you or break you. If I'm not exaggerating, I can term my tongue and my heart, my hand, as a weapon of destruction or weapon of construction through my tongue and my hand. Now, that is why if we can measure and weigh the power of silence, I can count very important 7 attributes just to consider how powerful is how powerful silence is. The first attribute is that through silence you can gain control when you don't speak. Because when you don't speak, you are controlling the situation. Under your control, the whole situation will be. And your thoughts will be under your control, and as well as your response. The way how you respond may create a chaos, a sort of imbalance situation in and around where you are living. So you gain control over the situation when you keep silent. Second attribution is you will have more time to listen. As we all know, we are sometimes more talkative, deliberately or unintentionally, without having any objective of talking, and it ends up with a very unbecoming result, where you are creating a distance between people that you are living around. So you listen more. If you listen more, why? Because silence makes you a better listener, and that's where true understanding comes. When you listen more, I sometimes feel that people start understanding more, and they can perceive the reality, what is going around. Once you understand the reality, once you can grab and perceive what is moving around, going around in a very perfect manner, definitely you will have more time to ponder and think, rather than creating any sort of problems. Ultimately, you will become more like a problem solver than a problem creator. You will become a part of the solution, not a part of problem. The third thing is, if you keep silent, you are unpredictable. People can't explore the in-depth of your secrecy. You will never allow each and every person penetrate into your personality. But the moment you start talking, you open your mouth, definitely you are allowing to a certain extent to explore or to dive deep into your personality and find out what you are all about. So you will be very unpredictable if you keep silent. The fourth attribute is that you avoid conflict. When you keep silent, definitely you are not going to enter into troubles, into murky waters where you don't know what is lying beneath your feet. So you will be always safe. You will be saved from all these problems and conflicts. So less talking means fewer chances to say something you regret later on. Very common mistakes that we commit on and off on a regular basis while we open our mouths where we shouldn't be opening our mouth, or talking too much where we go into those troubles. And fifth most important attribute is you earn respect from the people. Because the moment you start talking, people will realize who you are, what is your standard. Because according to the standard of your intellectual power, people will give you the respect. If you are a very talkative person, if you are just, talking rubbish, or just addressing people in a very annoying manner, definitely people will measure the depth of your personality, whereby people will realize what sort of person you are. So when people realize where you are standing on, accordingly, people will give their regard or respect. So the less you talk, the higher respect you receive. This is the power of silence. The other attribute, the sixth attribute is you will have a space to observe more clearly, to see the environment, to get a clear picture if you keep silent and keep observing silently. This is a practice being carried forward, continued by so many sages and religious scholars and even messengers during their time, going into solitude, self-solitude, pondering and thinking of their nature, the strength and power of Almighty Allah, whereby they seek more tranquility and more peace in themselves. Because the more you get tranquility and peace in yourself, you are more calm and you are more stable, and you will enjoy stability in your life. The last one is you build mystery when you keep calm and quiet, because when you speak less, people are drawn to discover more about you. The people will be more eager to give you attention to what that type of person he or she is when he or she is keeping quiet and calm. So these are the beauties of and the power that we get when you keep calm and quiet, to be a more listener than a talker, whereby you will become a sort of a giver rather than a taker.
This tempts me not to speak anymore and keep my silence.
Exactly.
Without asking any more questions.
Exactly. Exactly.
People have different. It's somewhat paradoxical to say that there is power in silence, there is power in patience, which reflects inaction in a way, passiveness. So it's a passive attitude. A person may interpret it as a passive attitude, and may also call it out of character with a vibrant personality. So how do we derive wisdom from that silence and patience, since that solutions warrant action and communication? As you said, listening creates understanding. And when you don't talk, when you don't give priority to talking, you give your interlocutor chance to listen to him, or her. So that understanding is built based on that silence, and you get the message that if I listened, I have understood your message, your point of view, your attitude to the conversation. So how do we resolve this paradox of keeping silence and keeping patience while assuming that it resolves the problem.
Yeah, as I have mentioned earlier, that our tongue and hand are very powerful tools Allah has given to each and every human being, whereby we are being guided and directed to use it in a very proper, suitable manner with wisdom and wisely. So if you use these weapons in a very positive manner, this will lead to a life full of patience. Because when you start misusing these two very important weapons in an improper manner, it will create a situation where the reactions start building. When the reactions start building, you will have impatient atmosphere all over, where people will lose the patience and get angry quickly. Ultimately, you will have no opportunity to control over yourself, which will lead and which will end up in a vicious circle of having conflicts upon conflicts, and thereby creating more and more problems. So patience is maintained and enjoyed by using your tongue and your hand in a proper manner. I believe that impatient situations are created because of the misuse of these mass destruction weapons, if I may permit to use, and if I'm not being excused as if I'm exaggerating, to term these weapons or these tools as mass destruction weapons. According to our normal daily experience, all these conflicts, situations where people go out of their control is because of our tongue and because of our hand. That is why, as a Muslim, we have been occasionally guided and instructed by our Prophet, peace be upon him, if you give the guarantee of using your tongue properly, I will give you the guarantee of entering into paradise, which is a very huge and important message, very a message full of happiness, full of hope for the person who use those important tools in order to keep away from creating any disturbing situations where people start losing their patience and tending to become more uncontrollable people. So when the time of Prophet, people were confronting him with harsh language and creating disturbing atmosphere for him, naturally, as a human being, there may be some unsatisfactory feelings, bitterness, even in Prophet himself. But what was the guidance given by Allah Almighty? He said in chapter 73, verse 100, chapter 73, verse 10, be patient, O Prophet, be patient with what they say and keep away from them nicely. Just avoid, just ignore. And this is how we can, take this blessed feature of wisdom called patience. If you don't confront by keeping silence and just moving away from that disturbing situations, ignoring them, Brother Zubair, or we human, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we created, we have in ourselves the mode of ignoring system by itself. Around 90% is automatically working in favor of us by having that kind of ignoring system in ourselves. Now the 10% that we have to do on our own, whenever we come across a situation where we tend to go for a temper, you just walk away nicely and just ignore it. And therefore, just to ignore, you don't listen evil, you don't see evil, and you don't speak evil. Then you are applying this wisdom of patience in your daily life. If you don't see evil, if you don't hear evil, if you don't speak evil. And always thinking of avoiding those situations of conflicts wherever, whenever it is possible. Because having that attribute of patience in yourself, and also using the power of silence will ultimately lead you to a very humble, down-to-earth life, which are no disturbing that you feel in yourself.
So, the power of silence and patience is a very, it may sound very strange, since we are attributing power to silence and power to patience when they seem to be completely bereft of power per se, expression of power in the sense. So anyway, we are coming to much more details and intricacies of power of patience and silence in a while. Stay with us. Welcome back. A human character requires us to have exercise restraint, and without restraint, as you said, there are many situations. There are situations we would rather complicate instead of resolving the issues inherent in such situations. So, what is the methodology, or what is the thinking required to exercise such restraint so that we may be patient and we may be silent as and when required at the appropriate time.
To answer this question, I can put it like this way. Think of a world that we are living in is like a wheel, where you may be on the top of the wheel one day and I may be down under next day. So that wheel is rotating like this way. Therefore, we should not be looking down any human being or degrading anyone. Or in other words, we are supposed to respect, give due respect to each and everyone just because he is a human being, regardless of their religion or creed or ethnicity or race. As I said, we are on a wheel. You may be on the top one day, and next day you will be down under, next and some other time I may be on top. So it is rotating like this. So who can boastfully claim that I will be always on the top? To give him that license to look others down and let them just have without no regard. So once you start feeling that you are on the top and others are just nothing, belittling their human dignity, ultimately you are creating that kind of conflict zone within yourself and around you in your environment. What can you expect when you start thinking of that kind of mentality? So in order to have a very peaceful life, the methodology that we should apply to have a very calm and peaceful life, employing the power of silence and patience, you have to have a very high respect towards each and every human being, thinking that we are living in this world where the situations may change on and off every given situation.
Yeah, to be pragmatic, one may ask, how do we behave? How do we behave like Prophet behaved? His character was a character of par excellence. And how do we emulate him when we are living in this age of conflict and injustice and unfairness? Every now and then we are facing that, especially, let's say, in a work environment, where you may be passed over for somebody who doesn't deserve a promotion, and then you feel you are deprived of the opportunity. You think you are the fittest and the most deserving of the person who deserves that opportunity most. So you feel let down, and you feel very bad about it, and you want a solution. But the solution lies in talking about it, maybe in the form of a complaint to somebody, or maybe to. But yet, there comes the power of silence and restraint and patience. Because if you don't exercise restraint in such a situation, you problematize that particular incident, and you happen to land in hot water sometimes by not living up to the standards expected in the environment, such an environment, or in an office environment, a work environment. So you fall below the standard, and you lose the respect, or maybe you lose the consideration that you are deserving of.
Exactly. As you have asked that how we can emulate the characters presented to us by our Prophet, peace be upon him. You know,
is it too ideal to follow?
Oh, definitely. You know, we are not living in a world where the conflicts are minimal, or then Prophet or major or huge conflicts than our Prophet's time. Rather, the Prophet's time, he has faced much more conflicts and problems than we are facing. Even though he maintained a very balanced life, without reacting quickly and responding to that situation without applying the wisdom that he guided us to follow in every such situation. So, how he managed to avoid all those conflicts, how he managed to overcome all those problems by applying the power of patience and silence. And he knows when to speak, to what extent he should speak, how much he should speak, he knows very well. And also by applying the power of patience, he avoided so many conflicts and problems. So if we emulate those good characters in our life and start implementing those good characters in our life, definitely we will be resolving all these problems in a very diplomatic as well as very just manner, so that the whole conflicts will be resolved simultaneously.
Another question is, people attribute self-restraint, calmness in the face of possible agitation, or maybe sometimes, depending on the circumstances, sometimes people feel that, you know, I'm not the person. I'm not that type of person who would restrain himself. So my nature is to just vent out my anger or my dissatisfaction, maybe by hollering to somebody about it, or maybe by you know, by shouting out, you know, whatever you want to shout out. So is it practical for a person to acquire these personal traits? Is it just for the person who has this innate power of silence and power of patience as a possibility for those who have attained this as an innate quality? Or is it attainable? Can we acquire through our habituation, or through our volition, through our conscious effort? Are we able to acquire these traits?
Definitely. You know, each and every human being has that capacity. Inbuilt capacity is there. It is only to exercise, to bring up and start exercising it. Because in our life, each and every person have that ability to be patient, to calm down himself and speak nicely. And if he or she follows properly the guidance given by our Prophet, peace be upon him, to maneuver our life in a very peaceful manner, then we have to be focusing on how to use our tongue and our hand. Now, you know, there are certain areas that we need to have to give more utmost importance, focusing on while we explore or act upon. Any moment that your body opens, need to open to exercise any action. For example, we need to open our mouth. To speak out a word, we need to open our mouth. Wherever you require to open your body in order to exercise these actions, you require to be very cautious, to be focusing and to be vigilant how you are going to what extent are you going to open your body. If you have that kind of wisdom in yourself, if you have that kind of thinking, if you have that kind of taking precautious to use these faculties, definitely you are avoiding so many problems in your life. And at the same time, you are exercising your God-given power of patience and silence and enjoying your life in a very happy manner that brings you overall happiness and well-being in yourself. So what else you can expect from a person who do not have that kind of mentality or thinking to explore and employ their that power which God has already given in you, and you have that ability that can be utilized for the betterment of your life. Nobody can expect from you anything good.
So nobody can say they are alien to silence and patience. It's only a matter of immersing the self into a situation where you would exercise that restraint by means of silence and patience.
Yeah, this is the beauty, this is the beauty of our human being, that we know how to manage ourselves. If you know how to manage yourself, definitely you are a very perfect person in terms of enjoying your well-being. So it is.
So it's part of the well-being to
exactly. It is not a kind of that we start managing our anger. You may hear the word managing anger, management of anger. I would say it is not a matter of managing your anger. Rather, it is a matter of understanding your anger than managing your anger. Because once you understand your anger, you ultimately going to manage it and you're going to control it. Because your faculties will open for you to explore more soothing ways to solve all these problems that are coming to your way, that makes you disturb each and every such situation. Therefore, understanding your anger, why you are getting angry, is it worthy to be angry? Can I manage? Can I solve this anger in a very wise manner? Definitely, you are avoiding so many conflicts by exploring those powers of patience and silence.
So these emotions, like when the situation comes, we would definitely sometimes evoke anger. Sometimes we may go off the handle. Sometimes without our knowing that we are getting angry, and we might sometimes embarrass ourselves by being overly angry. And but the issue is when we get angry and we go out of control, we are trying to, we think we are weaponizing our anger to solve a problem. But then by just by the dint of that anger, you happen to create more problems, and you happen to regret it a lot later. So it generates a lot of sorrow and regret because of the spur of the moment utterances or spur of the moment actions that you take, which have enormous consequence to the, as you said, well-being of your life, your family life, your work life, work environment. So what is the contribution of patience and self-restraint in terms of silence, when to keep silence, when to observe silence, as a matter of personal well-being? How does it affect if we, for example, if we happen to break with people, break our relations with our bond, our connection, personal bonds with our colleagues, sometimes family relations, just because of anger and unwarranted utterances sometimes.
Exactly. If we start thinking of those situations where we should have avoided, we wouldn't end up all this bitterness in our life, and ultimately we start regretting what we have done in the past. So how many such situations we have experienced in our past that may have already solved in a very wise and suitable manner that will lead to a very calm and peaceful life. But that so many such situations and bitterness that we have created unwarrantedly, and we thought considering the consequences and repercussions of those situations, when we start regretting those bitterness of the past, we start feeling depressions and stressfulness. Then it will be a torturing sort of situation that you are having and carrying a huge burden in your life all the time, which may be a very regretful time that you are living around, and this is a very huge baggage that you are carrying forward if you don't resolve it as soon as possible.
And this regret leads to, as you said, depression, because you keep the incident of your misbehavior, of your inappropriate responses, like emotional outbursts. So it keeps haunting you, and finally you it leads to a situation where you have to seek forgiveness of
that's why
the people who you victimized because of your anger.
My advice is always be a part of solution rather than part of a problem.
Yes.
Then everything will be solved through exercising and employing the power of patience and silence.
So there is no power in anger, there is no power in emotional outbursts, but rather there is power in patience and silence. This is wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Ibrahim Zakaria Musa.
Thank you very much.
So we hope this topic evoked some positive feelings of good behavior, or the efficacy of good behavior to resolve problems that arise in our life. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum.